Hey, happy Monday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here, live from Weather Trends 360's headquarters in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Today we're going to talk about Captain's Log, and we're standing in front of our studio here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. If it looks like a Star Trek set, it is, kind of modeled after one. For folks that don't know what we do year-ahead forecasting of temperature, rainfall, and snowfall by week, out a year, every mile on Earth. Sounds crazy. Most of these huge companies and clients will tell you otherwise over the last 16 years of not only predicting the weather, but predicting their sales. So we're really good at quantifying weather's lift on sales or decline. So every degree hotter, there's about a 3% increase in summer apparel sales. So let's just focus on that as we compare it to the summer outlook so far. So 1 June through 5 August so far, most of the Northern Hemisphere has been much above average for the summer to date. Dry spots through the US and Europe, China. US overall is the 4th warmest in 30 years, so 9th wettest, a little drier than last year, but still on the wet side. UK, Europe, China, all #1 hottest in 30 plus years. So they've had very hot weather. 4th driest in the UK, 8th driest in 30 years in Europe, 6th driest in China. So hot and dry, that's actually very good for seasonal sales. Any of the retail stocks should be doing extremely well for Q2 because this is the holy grail of perfect weather. The cool spot actually was Montana. Billings, Montana, about 4.8 Fahrenheit colder than last year, so there'd be a decline in apparel sales, 4.8 times 3, about a 14% decline. Richmond's been kind of on the cool and wet side, so again, a 2 degree cooler would mean about a 6% decline in apparel. Dallas, Texas has been one of the hot spots, 4.1 degrees warmer, about 12% increase in apparel sales. And again, you do this globally, anywhere you have a product. Moscow, about 5 degrees warmer. Apparel sales up 16%. So we're very bullish on an extremely awesome Q2 for retailers. Looking at the soil moisture here, if your grass is growing like crazy in the east, it's because obviously we've been very soggy, very wet throughout. So greens are pretty moist. Obviously the browns are pretty dry. This is kind of typical out west. So all the fires that are happening in California, again, kind of normal soil moisture levels, but again, extremely dry. Some improvement in Missouri for the Corn Belt areas, and Texas and the Southwest look like they'll get some improvement here the next couple weeks. So that's some good news for the farmers. We do support a lot of farmers as well with a very cool FarmCast type product. Tells them today, next week, and important a year ahead. So it's a very simple report. If we look and jump in from the land out into the oceans, we see this what's called an El Nino Modokai forming. It's very weak. It's out here in the central. If you look over the equatorial Pacific, still pretty cold water. So we don't see a full-fledged major El Nino here. It's a weak central-based El Nino. And what those tend to do is you get these storms, hurricanes, as we're seeing right now, typhoons come up through Alaska, and that allows the cold air to come down into Canada and the eastern US. We actually think that's going to be a very common theme this fall, winter. So again, looking for a lot of cold in later this fall. So enjoy the heat now, because we do think the pattern will get pretty cold as we get into the fall, and especially the winter months. Now, we can actually see the hurricanes are already going. We've got Typhoon Shanshan going up past Japan, right into Alaska. That's what allows, Canada's really hot right now, but they're going to cool off. The big one to worry about is Hurricane Hector. That one's likely to go just south of Hawaii. So good news is it'll hopefully miss Hawaii. Looking at this week, again, we're still pretty hot in the U.S. Pockets of cool where it's raining in the south central and Ohio Valley. Again, so pretty soggy here in the east. Overall, we'd say this week is the 4th warmest in 30 years. But that last year was actually the coolest in some 13 years. So a big, huge flip-flop. So again, good for those summer clearance sales. This year, 4th wettest in 30 years. Last year was the wettest in over 30, so a little bit drier. Looking at next week, again, a little bit, see that cool air starting to come up in Canada. Maybe a little bit of a pattern shift. So still hot in the U.S. though, 2nd warmest in 30 years. Coolest in 3 years. Again, #1 wettest. So the soggy weather, where you've been wet, you're probably going to remain wet. So with that, folks, check out weathertrends360.com. Go to our dashboard page, and you can see more on our Captain's Log. Have a great week.